Hello everyone, this is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. Today is Wednesday, November the 30th, 2011, and just recently some documents have surfaced, have come to light, which reveal the largest spying operation in Canadian history on political activist organizations and groups here in Canada, particularly in the lead up to the G20 Summit. These documents are very telling. They give some insight into exactly what was going on. There were upwards of a dozen undercover police officers who managed to infiltrate some of the groups by posing as one of their members and secretly recording some of the conversations in an effort to gather intelligence in the lead up to the G20. Here is a report from the CBC. It says G20 case reveals the largest ever police spy operation. RCMP collaborated with provincial and local police to monitor activists. Police organizations across the country cooperated to spy on community organizations and activists in what the RCMP called one of the largest domestic intelligence operations in Canadian history, these documents reveal. Testimony, previously under a publication ban, describes how two undercover police officers, one male, one female, spent 18 months infiltrating Southern Ontario community groups ahead of the June 26-27 gathering of world leaders. They were part of a much larger so-called Joint Intelligence Group, or JIG operation, that the RCMP, in its internal post-summit review, called likely the largest JIG ever assembled in Canada. And it goes on to say here, RCMP records obtained under Freedom of Information legislation reveal that at least 12 undercover officers infiltrated groups, organizations in Vancouver, Southern Ontario cities of Guelph, Kitchener, Waterloo, Toronto, and Montreal. And you would think that the whole point of infiltrating these groups as police would be to prevent bad things from happening. But obviously that wasn't the case with the G20 Summit here in Toronto. Many bad things did indeed happen. So that begs the question, was this operation a complete failure? Or was it a total success? Did they achieve what they were trying to do all along? Here we have spokesperson Sergeant Pierre Chamberlain acknowledged that the OPP had undercover officers involved in the G20, but declined to speak about specifics, saying the force can't comment on operational matters. In fact, some of you may remember about a week before the G20 came to Toronto, there was a town hall meeting, and I got the opportunity to get on the mic and to question George Tucker. At the time, he was the spokesperson for the RCMP, Toronto Police, the SIU, all these groups who were involved at the G20. And I pointed out to him, I said, George, the Canadian government's been caught red-handed before using police officers as agent provocateurs in order to incite violence, as in the case with what happened in Montebello, Quebec. So I said to him, can you assure us that the Toronto police will not use police officers as agent provocateurs to incite the violence? And his answer to that was simply, I can't discuss that in an open format. So here, Pierre Chamberlain goes on to say, so it's not a matter of like what you would see on television, where they can do or say whatever they want. They're not authorized to break the law unless they have special permissions. They're not authorized to break the law unless they have special permission. So that tells me that they can sometimes break the law. And I think that's one of the issues that I have with a lot of these faceless movements, like the Black Bloc and Anonymous, for instance. It's just that there's so much room for government agencies to infiltrate these types of movements and to move in and to generate the chaos and to cause the kind of problems that they're going for. So I think it's important to be aware of these things. That's why I wanted to bring it up this week. I mean, just because the G20 Summit is no longer in our city, that doesn't mean that these intelligence spying networks don't continue. They most certainly do. So anyways, I wanted to leave you with a video we shot, interview we did a few years ago with an ex-British intelligence, MI5 intelligence officer, Annie Machon, where she gives a lot of insight into the practice of these agents infiltrating political groups to gather information and to sometimes do illegal activities. And of course, she also gives a lot of good tips on how to, I guess you could say, spook-proof your organization. Now, the audio is slightly out of sync on this video. We did it years ago, and YouTube has changed formats a few times over the years, and that's caused the audio to be slightly out of sync. But the information is still very valuable, so I just wanted to leave you with that this week. And yeah, that's it for this week, guys. I guess I will talk to you again next Wednesday. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care.